I've been making films since I was, I don't know, a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And I've always made them with my friends. And even when I went to Los Angeles and, fancy film school and, met all of these much more professional people, I still prefer to work with my friends.
Yeah.
That to me is the joy of it. And so the film is it's about that. It's about a group of people, fictionalized. It's a fiction film, but it's about a group of people not too dissimilar from my own group of friends who have been making films together since they were little kids in this small town in Maine. Unlike me, they never left their small town in Maine, and so now they're in their late 20s, and they've been making so many films that they've become like a feature of the town. The mayor loves them. They put the fire department in their movies. They're a real like local treasure. And what happens is Hollywood comes to town on a scouting mission because they want to shoot a big TV show there, and there's conflict between the two groups. There's a physical conflict, but there's also a very philosophical conflict of who owns filmmaking. Is that something? Is filmmaking itself, the property of Hollywood, or is it something that the rest of us can do too? And that's really sort of the spirit of the film. All of the characters in the film, or all of the main characters, are in some way shades of me, and a lot of them represent choices I didn't make. So the main character Jonah represents what my life might have been like if I had never left my small town. If I'd stayed put and kept making movies if I'd bloomed where I was planted, as the old adage says, what would my life have been like? And then another character, Evan, who's wears a suit, he's very much in the Hollywood business, kind of represents like what would my life have been like if I had chosen to just sort of climb that Hollywood ladder as carefully as I could. And neither one of them really represent the choices that I made, but by sort of using the characters to explore other ways my life had gone.
Right.
That was a really it was a positive way for me to approach these questions that I have in my life as a filmmaker. And I call the group of filmmakers in this movie, I call them a band, because really they are, I mean, very similar to the way a rock band might function. These guys all pitch in together and work on each other's ideas and all have their own role within the band. And the thing about bands is that sometimes people want to break up. Sometimes bands break apart a little bit. And that's something that as artists working outside the system, all of us who do that have to grapple with, because you can't, no matter how good a collaborative relationship is, there's no guarantee that the person's not going to, that your roads are not going to part, So Dan definitely is representing that part of me, and even though I guess I identify a little bit more with Jonah, I think.
She kind of has to come to terms with the idea that she's kind of been in her bubble for a long time, and she really is very protective and feels very threatened by this intrusion.
It's personal. I mean, I think a lot of people who are really passionate about their art form can sort of form a little bubble around themselves, where all they think about is their music or their writing or their painting or whatever it is that is motivating them. And they forget that the person standing next to them is more than just a collaborator. They're also a person and a friend. And I do think that's the lesson of the film that Jonah needed to learn and does learn. In our modern culture, we look at creative work as something that can lead to wealth or to fame. And I see creative work as something that has an incredible value as a congealant of friendship and of relationships, and it can make your life worth living even if you don't even do it particularly well. Right. It can be very, very, very valuable to collaborate on a project with people. You see it in every community theater play that's ever done. Just pitching in together, working together on a story, all living that out, and then having it in film. You have it to experience again and again. And I think that is something that is so much more valuable than just wealth or fame. Right. So that's what I'm encouraging people who see the movie to do, is to make films on their own, because they'll probably be more important to them and more special to them than 99% of what's on TV.